appreciated, and I really appreciate your time after I'm sure you've all had a long day of doing other extremely important things. So I very much appreciate it. To start off today, I'll pass over to Wayne as he does a pretty good introduction as to, what the Chief Entrepreneur does and what they are and how they fit the whole puzzle together. And then I'll fill you in a little bit more about our plans. Go for it, Wayne.
Thanks. Thanks, Amelia. Hey guys, how is everyone? Got a wave. Turn your cameras on for all those people that are hiding. Excellent. Lovely to see you all. Hey, Baden, how are you, man? I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners on the lands on which we gather, and we're all spread over the place. So, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who have been really the original entrepreneurs and original innovators.
Absolutely. Just like to start acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we're all meeting.
What happened then?
All good to continue. Wayne, sorry, if I could just jump in. If everyone could just make sure they are on mute at the moment, just to avoid any interruptions. Thanks. Sorry, continue, Wayne. Go for it.
No worries. I'm sure you guys would agree with me that it's our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who were the original innovators. They were the original curious problem solvers, the original researchers, the original authors of so much of our history and our tradition, and it's great to be walking in their footsteps. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. It's exciting to see so many familiar faces and so many new faces. Hey, Jordan, how are you? Up in the, it's not quite as sunny up there as it was the other week when we were up there for Ford Fest. Great to see you, mate. I guess this afternoon really was an opportunity for Amelia and I to have a conversation with you guys. And we got Paul's joined us as well, and we're really excited to hear a bit about what Paul's been doing. So thanks for taking the time, Paul. It's awesome. We've got an amazing group of people here, and really from my point of view as Chief Entrepreneur, we're constantly focused on how do we make sure that we unlock the potential of Queensland. And the potential of Queensland is the potential that exists inside our existing businesses, the potential that exists inside our government and public organisations, the potential that sits inside our regions and our society, and the potential that sits inside our younger generation, our future leaders, our future business owners, our future entrepreneurs. And so I'm super excited to have a conversation with you, and I'm grateful that Amelia has been doing such an amazing job championing youth entrepreneurship for us on the Innovation Advisory Council. And so I might hand it back to you, Amelia.
Awesome. Thanks, Wayne, for that intro. Now, I've been very excited to be part of the Innovation Advisory Council, and just from a personal note, so everyone can understand where I'm coming from. Since I was 17, I ran and founded a number of businesses, and still are at the moment. So I'm very aware of what it's like to try and navigate a somewhat, very complicated system as someone who's young and might not have had that experience and might not necessarily have all the resources at their fingertips. I've got to say it is a lot. I'm 26 now, so this was, 10 years ago? It is a lot better now, and there are more resources, and there are things like the Chief Entrepreneurs Offices, and the departments in the schools are definitely getting more behind supporting that entrepreneurship and innovative thinking. Before I continue, a few housekeeping. It is still being, this session's recorded, and I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that, especially considering we do have a few younger people on here. And I was really hoping that this session would be an interactive session where if you have any questions at all, it's not a formal presentation. You can either raise your hand and we'll be looking out for that, or you can drop your message in the chat, or we'll also ask you for periods of time where you can just turn your microphone off and you're welcome to speak. So we're not we're not worried about any of that, and we really encourage that's why you're here. We're here to listen to you and try and use your input to help us formulate a plan. Is that can we mute, unless you're asking a specific question, can we try and just keep those those microphones on mute? Just 30 seconds more background, because I don't want to listen to myself talking for too long. So in November last year, actually, we ran a workshop, and the information that came out of that was really quite interesting. And I'm happy to circulate that a little report I popped together. But what that report allowed me to do is, in conversations when I've been chatting with different departments or different schools, I've been able to provide that piece of information, because the youth area is something that there definitely needs to be more understanding in different settings. So people need to be able to understand what we need from government, from schools, and it is definitely, it's no one's role specifically to deal with that. And I guess that's what I'm here to try and figure out, is what we need and who's going to provide that, essentially. And to kick us off, I'm going to let Wayne do some great commentary, but I think we've got a poll, and I think just to try and collect a bit of your thoughts and your opinions straight off the bat, from Heather, if you could just share your screen with that poll. It's a fun interactive poll, so you guys can see exactly what the thoughts of people are in real time, and we will collate that information and distribute that out afterwards. We're just popping this up. Awesome.
So Amelia, what everyone's going to need to do is just head to slido.com and put in the code that they see there on the screen. Alternatively, you can grab your phone and scan the QR code.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather. I'm going to get on my phone as well. Awesome. Come on, guys. We're going to have a few more people on there.
I'm fine.
Awesome. Out for it.
There's some great answers coming through here. When I look at some of the answers that are coming through: solving the world's biggest problems, new ways of doing things, learning and thinking about the world from a growth mindset, thinking outside of the box. It looks like it's a whole ecosystem. There's heaps of things. It's fun. It's definitely fun. It's unique and changing the world. It's creating social capital. It's collaborating, using new methods to solve problems. There are so many good ideas here around what is innovation.
And I think that's such an important thing to remember, that innovation is one of those terms I think people have a lot of trouble assigning an exact meaning to. And it's so interesting to see all the different interpretations of it.
Yeah, I agree, Amelia. I almost think that innovation is a way of looking at the world and a way of taking action to make things better. And it's the mindset, it's the process that you use, it's the outcome that you get, it's the way you work with other people. And it's creating new and novel things. And so innovation can be a lot of things to a lot of people. And I guess what's important is that in order for Queensland to be a really amazing place to live and a really amazing place to work and raise a family and to be safe and fun and healthy, we need to kind of work out how do we make innovation part of everything we do.
Definitely. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. We've jumped to the next question. So this is an interesting one, the innovation ecosystem. These are some words that get tossed around a lot in the Chief Entrepreneur's Office and in the innovation ecosystem. But I I was curious to see what that terminology meant to everybody. I love that support.
These are great answers, hey?
Oh, 100%.
In my mind, our ecosystem is our community. And if you think about what an ecosystem and a community are, communities and ecosystems are really networks of people that help and support each other, that the sum of the parts is really what makes an ecosystem so special. So an individual can do so much, a business can do so much, but when you put an individual in an ecosystem or a business in an ecosystem, they can do a lot more and a lot more faster because they get the benefit of learning from others and they get the opportunity to build great relationships and create, you know, things like we're talking about here, right? And network density and bringing all those different people together, like-minded people together to achieve common goals. And you know, when I think about the core value that we have for our ecosystem around give before you get, you know, that really is a value of how do we as an ecosystem help each other to progress the things that we're trying to progress. And that's pretty cool.
And that is something we're also, or I'm definitely got an agenda on, is trying to figure out how do we make that ecosystem more accessible for everybody, and that obviously includes trying to make that ecosystem accessible to young people and people that are new to the ecosystem, which are often young people, not always, but it's definitely important to make sure we've got a diverse group of people coming in to make sure that ecosystem really flourishes.
So someone wrote down that sometimes the ecosystem is a bit disconnected, and I think it can feel disconnected to people at different points in their journey. And sometimes I think that, you know, if people are new and they don't know a lot of people, or if they're trying to solve a problem that the ecosystem doesn't have a lot of experience solving, these can be times when people feel like they're a little bit isolated or that they can't get the help and support they need. And I think we as an ecosystem need to get better at asking how we can help each other, because the more we offer to help other people, the less disconnected the ecosystem will feel. And so maybe that's something for us all to think about, like, how can we help more often? Because when we're giving, I think we feel connected. What do you guys think?
Feel free to jump in, anybody, if you ever want to reply or add in any commentary as we go as well. You're quite welcome to. Might jump to the next question though. Yeah.
Thanks, Jordan.
What do you think is the first thing that young people need as support? Okay, so if you're a young person, what do you think you need? And if you work with young people, what do you observe being the number one thing?
These are great comments, hey? Mentorship.
A lot of that basic stuff as well might be missing in a traditional education, and the understanding to do it kind of correctly. The financial literacy piece is extremely important. That's definitely something I know I didn't get a whole lot of going through school, and definitely learned that around the dinner table, and was lucky enough to have parents who could teach me that themselves.
I'd be interested to understand if the young people on the call feel confident to come to events in the ecosystem. Are there the right kind of events? Maybe you could even write down what kind of event you would like.
And also, can we ask everyone what time is most suitable for events for young people?
That's a great idea, Heather.
So Felix, at the moment, I think the events are mostly, like, for example, this one was mostly through socials and trying to get a network of people to share. But there definitely is a capacity to, or a need to figure out how to reach younger people, because they're definitely not in the same paces as the rest of the people in the ecosystem, especially for people at school or in those younger levels of at university that might not have yet really understood that there is an ecosystem. So it's actually, how do we introduce people to the ecosystem? Because once they know what's there, it's definitely easier to access. So there's that issue to overcome definitely at the beginning.
Thanks to everyone who's writing all these great comments. Ban exams.
I like this. Take us out of school and do it during the day. I do think that's definitely a sell for a lot of the students to take. Sorry about this, the timing of this call. I wasn't quite willing to battle with the teachers as of yet to get you guys out of school.
Yeah. Janine, I'm reading some of the comments in the chat, and they're really valuable comments, hey? So
definitely that. Sorry, you go, Wayne.
I think what we should do with all these comments is capture them, and we might circle back, Amelia, with the people who have provided the specific comments and get some advice, ideas on what would make an event, for example, less daunting, and how do we do stuff outside of SEQ and the major cities? How do we actually do stuff more in the regions?
How do we go about it?
Yeah.
So if you do want us to circle back to you for more in depth, please drop something in the chat as well, so we've got your name.
Yeah.
And that is a large reason of why this event was online, because the last one we did do was in the city, and I did note it was definitely very hard for a lot of people to get there. And I noticed there was a lot of carpooling of some very great people. I'm trying to make sure that the young people that did want to get there could get there. And but it's
I love
definitely
Scott's comment as well, right? We definitely need to do events that are more inclusive. I think that's a great feedback, right? Kat, thanks for sharing as always. Sorry, I'm just reading through them quickly, guys. And
me too. All good.
If we're going to run, it'd be great to have or hear from people about how do we run events that are by young people for young people.
Definitely. If you want to go to we might jump to the next question as well. Perfect. So this is this accessibility. We've got a lot of stuff in the chat, and it's very similar. But if there's any more ideas about it, how to make the actual ecosystem more accessible.
That's great, Jordan. So Scott, I really like that point you're making there about a playbook to help young people run events. That could be a really, really good initiative where we actually teach the young people in our ecosystem how to become emerging ecosystem leaders and give them the tools and the confidence and also the funding, because we could fund, people's events through the Office of the Chief Entrepreneur. I think that'd be something that'd be really cool to do for some of the young people out there.
Put aside
I think with that's something we definitely notice is like a lot of young people that are like, look, I'd love to run an event on this, but like, where do I find a venue? Like, how do I tell people about it? How do I do ticketing? And I think for like people like all of us that are ecosystem leaders, like we know about Eventbrite, Humanitix, venues that are available, but I think for young people, it just seems so out of reach. So I think it'd be interesting if it was like a playbook or a resource on like running an event 101.
Scott, it sounds like you're offering to help coordinate something like
that. Damn, did I just put my hand up?
I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of other people on this line that would love to help you as well.
Definitely, if anyone wants to get involved, send me a direct message. I'm really happy to chat further about that one offline.
We're lucky to have Nicola and Heather from the office who are amazing at all this coordination and administration, and they might be able to support the putting together of a playbook. If you guys come up with the ideas and you guys lead it, we could help.
Sounds like we've been volunteered too, Scott.
Oh, fab. Love it.
Up for it. It's good. It's good.
What's that?
Alrighty. Give it another 30 seconds on this question. So madly type if you need to.
Cool. Thanks, Felix. That's cool.
Awesome.
Am I able to add something?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Wonderful. So I just did an event about a week and a half ago at the City Hall to celebrate multicultural dreamers, and both Amelia and Andy were there. And one thing that happened was I was asking myself the same question: how do I, how could I get the young people to come to an event like that? And one thing my team did was seeing and touching base with, let's say, the influencers or the younger people within their connection who to a certain extent have some form of influence and who are able to become advocates for the event, and at the same time making so that they see it everywhere, let's say when it comes to the schools and things like that. And as a result, I feel like the more we're able to get in the face of the individuals who may have a level of influence within their demographic, the more we'll be able to get them.
And definitely, you did a very good job at getting people there.
No, thank you.
Sissy, I'm just looking at your speed mentoring event there.
Yeah.
Is there an opportunity for young people to attend that?
Definitely, it's actually mostly for young people. Out of I have 45 confirmed attendees because they all each paid either $12 before or $18 right now. And I think most people, when they pay, they will actually turn up. So, and I think about maybe 80% are actually young people. I guess depends on what's your definition of young, right? For me, I think young people is probably anybody under 40, 30. Are you saying young people has to be under 20? Then
I think technically the definition for youth is 26 and under. I'm probably going to get corrected, but I think it's around that 25, 26.
Okay.
But look, I see the work that we do, though, being young people, but similarly people new to the ecosystem, right? Because the way we make it accessible for people who are new and young people, have a lot of similarities.
Yeah. So in that case, probably 30%, 40%, because a lot of university students are going. And I think I have a school kid going as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. We might jump to the next question. Last one.
That's the last question, Amelia, unless you want to jump across to the other set of questions just about some quick demographics.
Yeah, let's jump across really quickly to the demographic questions, and then we'll pop over to Paul's to let him talk. So these next questions are just very, very quick, everyone. It's just a quick, are you young or work with young people, and where you're coming in from. But I see Heather and Sarah's lovely faces trying to make that work.
Sorry, for some reason it just wants me to log back in, so just give me 2 seconds.
That's all right. That's all right. And after we've done this, Paul, I'll pass over to Paul Browning. So Paul's the principal of St. Paul's, and they've got some really great projects going on, especially realms of thinking. And I've been chatting a lot with Paul over probably the last year, and I've been really impressed about the innovation that's taking place within a school by teachers to kind of change the way we teach. But I'll let everyone just quickly, 2 minutes to try and jump on and answer these questions.
There's also a link in the chat too, just to make it easy.
Thanks, Heather. Give it another few seconds. If anyone's getting a last minute jump in. Go next question. Oh, good. These questions aren't very exciting. They're exciting for me though, when we actually see the results.
And it's helpful for us to understand who we've got with us today.
Exactly. So when we collate all of those responses we've got from people, we'll kind of know who they're coming from. Awesome. Jump to the next one. There we go. We've got a few not right in the middle of the city, which is nice to see. What I was hoping for. That's right. If you're not comfortable sharing, you're very welcome to say if you're in Brisbane or if you're rural. So if you're way out of that's, I'd really like to know if the whole point of this question is around, are we reaching people rurally or remotely, or people that might not have been able to get into the city in the first place? That's the reason that the event's online. Awesome. Heather, that's all the questions, is it?
Yep, that's all the questions. So we can keep going now. Perfect. If you like.
Awesome. I gave Paul a bit of an introduction before. I think Nicola, would you mind muting yourself? Sort of background. Thank you very much. Paul, I'll hand over to you and you can probably do a much better introduction of yourself.
Well, thank you very much, Amelia. And it's great to actually be here this afternoon. Really interesting responses to those questions. As Amelia intimated, I'm the headmaster at St. Paul's School in North Brisbane, Bald Hills, and we've been on a journey of innovation for the last 12 years, and Amelia has been part of the conversations recently as we look to start our own business as an entrepreneurial school. So that's really quite exciting. But perhaps I could start the 10 minutes I've actually got by saying that I really lament the fact that our nation, Australia, doesn't have a great vision for where we're heading as a country. We're a country of followers when it comes to education. So it really saddens me as an educator when our ministers for education say, well, we need to look to Singapore, or we need to look to Finland, or we need to look to China to see what they're doing because we're falling down the rankings and the PISA results. We need to do something. We're a nation of followers. So we keep perpetuating the same education system that was developed for an industrial era. And we're not preparing our young people to thrive in a future that's dominated by artificial intelligence technology. And really, every single young person in that new economy needs to be able to think like an innovator. They need to think like an entrepreneur. They need to have the skills and dispositions to be able to be an entrepreneur. And yet our school system squashes or conditions creativity out of young people. Our journey started back in 2009, and we were provoked by a video, which I'm going to put in the chat now, which you may or may not have seen, by Sir Ken Robertson. Sir Ken Robertson basically said, schools kill creativity, and yet it's the very skill that underpins the ability to think like an innovator, to think like an entrepreneur. And he's right. We unwittingly condition it out of young people. Our belief is that every young person when they're born has the capacity to think creatively. So if you think back, if you are a student here online at the moment, or you don't have children at the moment, you might be able to think about a young child who's 2 or 3. Amelia's got a young daughter. They're filled with ideas, and their imaginative play is quite extraordinary. They might even have an imaginative friend. And yet when they start school, that ability to imagine starts getting conditioned out of young people as they start realizing that they need to conform to a system. They need to be able to appease the teacher. And as somebody said in that chat, they need to be able to know what to do to pass the exams, to get an A on the test. And so we start losing that ability to think creatively, to think like an innovator and think like an entrepreneur. So Sir Ken Robertson provoked us here at St Paul's School to really think about that complex problem. How do we transform educational thinking and practice so we actually are teaching for creativity rather than killing it? So it is a really complex problem, but we've been able to solve that problem. And what we've done here is we've created a way of teaching that we call realms of thinking. Realms of thinking is underpinned by significant research that we've been doing over the last 10 to 12 years. But realms of thinking essentially are a collection of 16 dispositions that are necessary for creative thinking. Things like empathy, the ability to deal with ambiguity, the willingness to take risks and learn from your failure, the ability to collaborate with other people. And when you cluster those dispositions together, you get ways of working, like design thinking or entrepreneurial thinking. It's a teaching and learning platform or a way of delivering curriculum that is not curriculum dependent. So any school in Australia can teach the Australian curriculum, but deliver it using realms of thinking. And by doing so, embed those dispositions into the activity in the classroom. So students are able to identify the skills that they are developing to think creatively, think like an innovator, think like an entrepreneur. All our teachers have been trained in the way that we've designed teaching and learning to be delivered. And so our students now are able to solve really complex problems. They're able to ask really complex questions. And it's really exciting to see what's actually happening. In addition to realms of thinking, we opened our Centre for Innovators and Entrepreneurs about 5, 6 years ago. And that's an opportunity for students who have a business idea to actually start their own business. So they go to that centre and they have access to a seed funding program, so they can loan money to start their own business. And then they have access through our director of CIE to mentors outside the school who have their own business or have expertise in marketing or financial planning or business planning. So students are learning how to start their own business and are actually starting there and running their own businesses at St Paul's School. So we would say as a school, we actually have 3 pathways of learning for young people. We have an academic pathway, the traditional pathway that students go through to go to university. We have a vocational pathway where students can go down a vocational line and do certification in a number of areas. But we also have an entrepreneurial pathway. So we're equipping young people through our classroom practice from prep to year 12 with realms of thinking, the ability to think creatively, and then giving them the opportunity through the CIE to learn how to start their own business. So when they leave school, they actually have the necessary skills and dispositions to become an entrepreneur if they choose to become an entrepreneur. I would argue, if we don't educate young people like this, we are doing our nation a disservice. We're doing our young people a huge disservice. Now, the really exciting thing that's actually happening at the moment is we've partnered with the Assessment Research Council at Melbourne University's Graduate School of Education, and they're working with us over a 2-year period to develop assessment tools so we can assess and report to parents and students how they are good at these skills and dispositions. Part of that project was to research and ask employers what they were looking for in their future employees, whether it was qualifications, character traits, or skills and dispositions. And you probably would realize that number one, what employers are looking for is their character, closely followed by their skills and dispositions. A distant third was their qualifications. So really, if schools are going to prepare young people to thrive in the world of tomorrow, we need to be focused on developing their character and their skills and dispositions and ability to think creatively. So Melbourne University are working with us over a 2-year period. That project finishes at the end of next year, and we will have tools to be able to measure and report to parents about the development of those important skills and dispositions that young people need to have to thrive in the world of tomorrow. In addition to that, and Amelia's been part of these conversations, we believe so strongly in what we've actually done here that we're seeking to transform educational thinking and practice outside of the gates at St Paul's School. We want to share what we've actually done here and model what we've done as well. So we're looking to start our own business and share or sell realms of thinking to schools across Australia and across the world so they can transform the educational thinking and practice in their own schools as well. We've just employed a team of 4 software developers, and we're putting all of that work, all that IP onto a digital platform that is easily accessible by schools, and they can use it to transform the learning, just like we have been able to do here over the last 12 years. Open to any questions, Amelia. That's it in a nutshell.
Paul, I'll start by asking a question. What's some of the feedback you're getting from the students?
Hang on, I'm just writing in the website to Realms of Thinking so people have actually got that as well. The students are able to talk about the skills and dispositions that they're developing. So they're able, if you go into a classroom, to say, look, during this class, I'm actually developing empathy and this is how I'm actually doing it. They're able to talk about their willingness to take a risk or deal with ambiguity. So the feedback from the students is that they're really getting a deep understanding of those skills and dispositions and how they're enacted in practice. It's really quite exciting. Observation-wise, we're seeing students ask far, far better questions. They're able to collaborate far better, ask complex questions, solve complex problems. And we're noticing a massive difference between students who come from other schools to join us at year 7 and their ability to think creatively as well. And that's a bit of a problem for us, is trying to get those new students up to speed, but we do it quite successfully. It takes about 18 months to get them used to the fact that they don't need to just regurgitate what the teacher says. They're able to challenge the teacher and actually question what they're doing and think for themselves.
I'd be curious to hear from some of the younger people on the call about how they found what Paul had just spoken about, and would that be beneficial to you, or would it have helped you in your early careers?
I might have to pick on somebody. Does anyone want to?
I can jump in it. Paul, when I was at school, my name's Michael. When I was at school, I did a software thing with a really early stage computer, and it said a couple of questions was I like outdoor stuff, and the suggestion was I should be a greenkeeper. So I think anything which is opening up young people's eyes to different career paths would be incredibly valuable. So yeah, I admire your work.
I think one of our key mantras here is that why is it that people become entrepreneurs in spite of their education? And Amelia can attest to that. She became an entrepreneur in spite of her education. And I think Taj is on the line as well, and he could say the same thing. my view is that they should become entrepreneurs because of their education. They should be given that opportunity if they want to do that. And a lot of young people,
I think that should be your byline.
Yeah, well, a lot of young people these days don't want to work for a business like another person. They want to actually create their own ideas and generate them and transform the world into a better place. And that's incredibly exciting. I'm super excited by the youth and what they want to do. So.
Oh, it's a great thought, and I definitely going through school, you know, I say 17 was my first business, but I definitely had my fair share of businesses before that. They just weren't exactly legal or registered because I didn't realize that you had to do that.
Well,
so it definitely would have been constructive to have a program in school.
We've got students in the junior school that have got their own businesses, so that's pretty cool. So it's not just for the year 11 and 12 students, it's young kids are doing this as well. And
they're getting to learn, and it's such a great, also almost co-curricular activity, right? Like they can expand their minds in such an awesome way. Paul, I'm aware that you need to run off to another meeting.
I do. Finance meeting,
so I won't keep you here. But if anyone's got any last questions, this is your chance for Paul. Paul, do you want to drop your email? Or
I will.
I
was just doing that. So if people wanted to connect with me and have a further chat, you're more than welcome to, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. So
there we go. Wayne, do you have any final comments before Paul pops off, or
Paul,
anybody?
thanks so much for sharing. It sounds like a really great. It's great that you're capturing what you're doing that works. And it's great that you're commercializing it and trying to make that available to other schools and other students. I'd love to see how we can get that out into regional and rural Queensland, remote Queensland, and to some of the schools out there that just don't have the resources that an organisation like yours does. So
well,
I think that's
we would love to do that. And the digital platform that we're creating to share this teaching and learning framework will be accessible to any school wherever they are. So making life easier for them and making teachers' workload easier as well, not only just transforming their mindset and the way they deliver the curriculum, but just making life easier for teachers. So yeah, we're looking to launch that business or that product in January 2024 when Melbourne University finishes their work. But before I sign off, Amelia, I might just share with people, if anyone wants to come to visit St Paul's School, I would come next year, because next year we open our new innovation precinct. And that building is center of the school, and it's underpinned by realms of thinking and its philosophy. And it's spaces for kids to generate new ideas, to generate new businesses, and really showcases what realms of thinking actually is. And it will be the central training platform or place when schools want to adopt realms of thinking. They can come and learn how to do that here and then go out back to their school to actually implement it. So 25th of January, 9 o'clock in the morning, Dr. Jordan Ewan, you might have heard of him, created the mind control wheelchair. He's coming to open it and give a keynote about the future of AI. So that's super exciting.
Hey, Paul, we'd love to bring a group of people out there. So maybe Amelia and the team at the Office of the Chief Entrepreneur could get together and help spread the word.
Yep. Well, I might shoot you an invite to the opening, Wayne. So
perfect.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone.
That's awesome. Paul. Thanks so much for joining us, Paul.
No,
really appreciate it.
Take care.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Alex, I noticed you've got your hand up.
Oh, that was just a clap. Just was really.
Oh no, it's a clap. Sorry, I just apparently can't read emojis very well. But no appreciate problem. If anyone does have a question, I am watching for them, watching for the little hand going up.
I'd love Kat to share a bit about what she's doing that's similar.
Sure. Sorry, losing my voice here. Sure thing, Wayne. Yeah, so we've actually got our entrepreneurial learning hub that we've created at Young Change Agents. At the moment, we've launched it for educators. So we provide all of our learning resources on there that teachers can use to embed different programs into their schools. And then we're beta testing at the moment the student side of that, where students can actually track the skills that they're learning in our programs and get a record of the mindset, skill set and tool set that they're developing as they go through the different programs that we offer. And we have been doing some work with Melbourne University as well to see if we can get that as a formal credential or micro credential too. So we're actually testing it this term with $20 boss schools, which is one of our programs we run across Australia. If anyone is interested, happy to share more information as well. But yeah, that's a bit about it.
Thanks, Kat. Really appreciate it. Yeah, one of the things that blows me away is how many amazing people are doing really, really great things in schools. And how do we help amplify that? That's a genuine question to you guys, and I'd love us to put some stuff in the chat about how could the Office of the Chief Entrepreneur help you amplify what you're doing at, across the schools you're working with. So if anyone's got any ideas,
feel free. I've seen a few hands go up as well. Feel free to pop your microphone off and speak if you'd like to.
Hey Amelia, hello, how are you? Nice to see you again. Hi Wayne, I'm up in Bundaberg, Queensland, so I just really wanted to join this today. We're hosting you in Bundaberg, I think in November, and also it'll be great, I'll get to meet you at a dinner that we're having. I'm an educator in a school called Kepnock. We have been doing entrepreneurial education for about 20 months now, and it was really interesting when you said, how could we get this further into regional schools? I love the philosophy that they do at St. Paul's, but I guess one of our ethos at our school is that inclusive education. We have we're a low ICSIA school, high socioeconomic deprivation, and yet our students are really keen to be actively involved in innovation, entrepreneurial education. A lot of our programs are on extracurricular. We rely on funding, and we're doing a First Nations entrepreneur program. We brought them down to the Youth Entrepreneurship Summit. That's a lot of traveling, 4 o'clock in the morning on a bus and getting back at 10 o'clock at night. So for me, my passion is very much about raising regional raw talent of our students, and that they're not missing out on what is happening in those city schools. My background is working in schools in London and Dubai, international baccalaureate. So to come and live regionally and to see such a gap and for our students is quite disappointing and heartbreaking. We do a lot of collaborations with young change agents. They've funded a lot of in-kind support with us, and next year, fortunately, we're developing a Career Lens Entrepreneurship at Work program with Marg and Kat at Young Change Agents to innovate career education, to give that provision to students, to see that, the entrepreneurial mindset, ecosystem build, skills and enterprise. I guess for me, coming on this today is very much about how we're going to leverage those important opportunities for our regional students so that they're on a par with their city counterparts.
What's your name?
Oh, Nicole, Amy, nice to meet you. Yes, I think we're doing a dinner with Bundaberg Regional Council when you're up, and you'll also be meeting Jamie Olsen, part of our Ingenium bursary. So yeah, we do a lot, Wayne, but I guess I run it on the smell of an oily rag, is my saying, and burning out with doing it that way. And building capacity of educators is really challenging when they're looking for something. And, young change agents are very creative. They're looking at the moment at how we can have some after school, 6 weeks of after school virtual PD, linking it with our 8-SOL APSTs, which is great. Teachers are always looking for PD. And it's phenomenal what Paul's doing. That's built capacity. But in regional schools, you're dealing with a lot of complex issues, state schools, and some of our students, their ideas are phenomenal. They're pitching them with Mayor's Telstra Innovation Awards. My highlight is my first entrepreneurial students on your LinkedIn page with their confidence. It's really hard at sometimes, Wayne, when these kids is going to these events and seeing and coming back going, why aren't we accessing this amount of funding? And recently in Adelaide at the E3 conference, looking and immersing myself in entrepreneurial learning schools, I was sitting there and there's Andrew Nunn, the Chief Entrepreneur of South Australia. I'm thinking, hey, why aren't we in Queensland? We are such an innovative state. We have such great organisations. You know, you've got BOP, you've got YCA, you've got ACE, everybody. Where are we missing the mark? What's happening that we're missing the mark? Or are we not?
Nicole, thanks so much for sharing. I'm up there for 3 days actually, so if you have time, I would welcome the chance to come out to the school and chat
We'd
with you.
love to host you.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and I'd love to chat with you and the students or the teachers. So definitely, if you just shoot me an email, we'll try and put something into my schedule for that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I know, as I said, we're meeting on the Thursday evening at a light dinner with a couple of people. I think on the Friday we'll be at the Entrepreneurship Day for schools. But yeah, is your email in the chat, or do I need to get that?
I can get in contact with you and I can share that with you after this call.
That would be beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for listening, everybody. If anybody wants to help us at Kepnock, like what Young Change Agents do, we're open for connections. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Can I open up to Leah, because I know she's had her hand up for a little while now.
Yes. Guys, Leah, I'm from Emerald State High School. So I feel like I knew a lot of what Nicole was kind of talking about being the rural school. I just have 3 points that I wrote down for the original question of how you guys could actually help schools. Is that we are very limited in what we can actually like give in time, right? We all know this. So if you could link it like well with version 9, which is the new curriculum that's rolling out now, it would just help us as teachers to justify that to our HODs, to our principal, to our, whoever we need to justify our unit of work to. Saying that for the year 11 and 12 program, so you have your ATAR pathways and your non-ATAR pathways. So I'm not sure if this happens at every school, but we have to kind of stick with the QCAA curriculum as to what subjects year 11 and 12s can do. There isn't an actual business program as such that allows students to go through starting up a business. Yes, it goes through the life cycles of businesses and things like that, but it doesn't actually, it does not give them the time to put that into practice, which is very disappointing a little bit, because the kids learn best with actually doing, I feel anyway. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was more information to admin and parents about the business pathway. So, you have your, go to uni, become a doctor, lawyer, that pathway, you have your trades, mechanic, carpenter, things like that. But what about that third pathway of starting your own business? It's not really popular. And I've had 1 or 2 parents be like, oh, so you're pushing my kid to, start a dog walking business, but I want them to be a lawyer. You're getting that. You're like, oh, I don't really want them to be in that pathway because I don't feel that there's merit in it as a parent, which is fine. I'm not trying to tell parents how to parent their kids. Number 3 is internet access. So being in a rural school, I have at least 20 kids who don't have internet at home. I have kids who don't have power at home. They have to turn off the generators at 7 p.m. or something like that. So they actually sometimes have the best ideas. It's amazing what they actually come up with. And I think, wow, you should really do that. But they don't feel that they are enabled, I guess is the word, to actually do that, because they can't stay after school. They can't come early in the morning because of buses and things like that. So I don't have a solution. I'm just putting it out there that maybe we need to fund maybe a 6-week program in these rural places where they can get together over a school holidays, like that 6-week Christmas break or something like that. That would probably be great and amazing. Yeah. So those are the 3 things that kind of pop into my head. I'm sure I'll think of other things at 2 a.m. But yeah, great what Nicole said. Thank you.
Thanks, Leah. And when you do think about those things at 2 in the morning, please message them through. They're when the best thoughts come. It's definitely something we've got to think about and come up with some interesting ideas. Sorry, Wayne.
Just can I explore a comment you made? You got 20 kids that don't have internet access and some don't have power at night. What's the root cause of that?
Just where they live, perhaps I'm not 100% sure, but maybe the internet line doesn't go to them, but they own a block of land, we call them the gem fields, where parents are actually digging the land for these things, and they just haven't hooked up power. They live in a trailer as such, and that's their lifestyle. They love that, and I'm not going to question it. So
yeah, okay. Maybe there's a bit of work that we could do to, I'm talking to my team here, maybe there's a bit of work we could do to provide information to schools that they can provide to parents about how to get access to mobile internet and things like that. Because we can't tell them to do different things, but maybe we can make it easy for them to understand what options they have available if they wanted it. So I don't know. One of the things I'm reluctant to do, Leah, is, the last thing anyone in regional Queensland or rural Queensland wants is someone from SEQ coming in and telling them how to do things, right? I'm very aware of that. So, I want to try and help find solutions in the context of the culture that we're working with, right? So we need to be guided, and sometimes we just don't know the attributes and characteristics, and that's why we need to ask.
Felix.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, so I think I also wanted to share and then also present and ask. So I'm coming more from the university side. So what's happening there specifically from like student-led movements. So I'm coming from the UQ body, UQEs. So there's like 400 active students, who go events, who like basically every week running events, getting about 30 to 40 different students at each event. But what I think, which is also exciting, because of this like movement, not just at UQ, it's also been happening QUT, Griffith, and Bond. And so these other universities are also just starting out their own student-led movements. So I think what will be really interesting and more moving towards the ask is how to work together and get these students going beyond just the university. So getting beyond going them for Brisbane, that may be going to the precinct, getting them to more events, getting events filtering through that network so that students can be a part of the large ecosystem while feeling that safety of being part of that student body. So I think that's a really exciting time and space. And I think that's probably something that anyone here, I think, could maybe tap into. So yes.
Sorry, what's your name?
Yeah, so Felix.
Felix, sorry, Felix. Felix, I totally agree, right? How do we tap into it? How do we help? I'll give you an example. I was out at UQ the other day with one of the institutes, and I'm going to go back out there on the 17th of November and run a whole day of small group workshops and one-on-ones. And so stuff like that, I might be able to help a little bit with. And then if you guys want to run events down at the precinct, who's the right person on our team to put your hand up?
It's contact chief.entrepreneur@premiers.qld.gov.au.
There you go. Can you put that in the chat?
Put it in the chat.
Yeah, but so we've already been working closely with like Pauline from River City Labs, which has been good. But I think there needs to be more, I think, especially like more systemized partnerships where it's like almost check-ins. Because like people, especially within student bodies, it's not like organizations, because people move in and out much more fluidly. So yeah. Just thought, yes, get it there.
Sorry, what's next?
Thanks, Felix. I feel like Barbara, you've had your hand up for a little while too. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, this is a really interesting. I'll take my hand down at some point too. Hey, anyway, look, I think the interesting thing for me is I think there are a few people, few faces here, and a number of them with young change agents. But Nicole, I can see you there, and a number who came together down at the E3 conference down in Adelaide recently, and it was a really interesting thing, because when the question is posed, what do you need as educators, I think it became patently apparent at that gathering that what was needed more than anything else were opportunities for people who are doing things in this space to get together, meet one another, share, and also support one another. A lot of cross-fertilising going on, but also a lot of mutual support and a lot of mentoring of people who really were not confident about even knowing where to start the journey. But just having a group of people there who've been on the journey, who could say, no, look, get in touch, come and visit, all of that stuff went on, and it was gold. I think that one of the things about this area is that it is relatively new. Even for the old hands in the space, it's still not very old. And the other thing about it is that you need to be in the room with a relatively large number of people working in this space to actually find someone who has a school that is similar to yours. The things that work in my school, and I'm at Cannon Hill Anglican College in Brisbane, are not going to work for some other schools. The things that work at Nicole's school are not going to necessarily work at my school. Some will, some won't. But I think we're working in a space where teachers are used to working with a curriculum. The curriculum's there and off they go. This is so completely different to that. It's what makes it exciting and wonderful, but it is also what makes it challenging. And I think this kind of a forum is fabulous, but I know it can't come close to competing with opportunities to get face-to-face. Now, whether that needs to be in different places, of course, regionally or whatever, and some in Brisbane or whatever. But I actually think there is so much going on, but opportunities to share that, this kind of thing is exactly what we do need, I guess, because I think that's the value. That's the value in it. There you go. That's my little 2 cents worth, for what it's worth.
Barbara, one of the things that makes our ecosystem awesome is that it's a grassroots-led ecosystem. And I think back to when we started, right? So in 2012, when we truly started the innovation or the startup ecosystem here in Queensland, it was literally me and 5 other people, right? And we literally, no shit, it was me and 5 other people who got together and we said, let's just catch up every now and again and see how we can help each other. And it's grown from me and 5 other people to meetings like this with people all across Queensland in all different disciplines and domains, right? So we're doing one here in youth and education, and we do them in a whole bunch of different areas. And that's exciting, right? Because what it does is it shows me that we can do this again and again and again. We can replicate the model of bottom up, grassroots, people who have got heart and soul, who are willing to, like you guys are, right? Start the movement. And no one needs permission to start the movement. Yeah, no one needs permission. Anyone can start the movement. And my ideal world, and one of the legacies I want to leave as chief, is to give everyone permission to start. Right? Because if you start the movement, if you put out the invitation to get together, and you come to the office of the chief entrepreneur and say, hey, I'm putting this thing together to start a movement, can I get some help? We'll help.
Okay.
Right.
Because I take you up on that.
Yeah, well, we'd love you to, right? And that's how you build an ecosystem, right? Because it can't be centralized. It's Like,
no, I'd agree with that.
It just doesn't work. It's actually got to be by the people, for the people. And our job is to support and amplify the movement that happens, right? And so I strongly encourage you guys to get together as a group, as a team, as a bunch of friends, and go, right, what can we do to start the movement we want? And then don't be backwards in coming forwards and asking for help, right? But ask for help. Don't ask other people to do it for you. Do you know what I mean? Because the role of an entrepreneur. That makes sense. Yeah,
that makes sense. I think one of the things with in education is I think a lot of people have been busy, to be quite frank, actually starting their programs up, whatever they're doing, whatever those initiatives are, those first initiatives are happening. And I think that maturity is only just coming. I've got a sense that's only just happening now, where the connections are then happening. Well, that's my feeling anyway. I'd be interested to hear what other people think about that.
Hey, Sissy.
Hello.
Hello, thank you. I'm trying to lower my hand. It worked. Thank you. Yeah, that was a really great session. I wanted to offer something. One of my roles that I'm doing right now is actually I'm the Deputy President for CPA Australia in Queensland. So I don't know if everyone knows about CPA Australia. We have 170,000 members around the world, and we have about 20,000 members in Queensland. And we touch pretty much all the businesses and different schools, etc. And recently, like 2 months ago, we actually did a thing because we were noticing a lot of decline in membership in the universities. And so there was, decline in people's interest in schools as well. So we got together a group of school teachers, like what you guys are doing within Youth Innovation. But we got together a group of school teachers who teach business and accounting in schools, and basically did something similar as this, and asked them what they actually need help on, for people to understand what accounting is, etc. And a lot of them were to do with the image of accounting is not great. It's bean counters, but the modern accountants are actually nothing like a bean counter, right? It's really, so we need to change the image. But in terms of what we can do, we got one of the people there, they were actually saying that they run an entrepreneur program in the school as well, and accounting is one part of it. But they are really struggling with the curriculum, what actually they need to teach, etc. Because a lot of teachers actually they're not accountants, so they don't actually understand the curriculum. So it just gets glossed over, so people don't really understand. So one of the asks that we got was actually to develop things that can be easily taught in high schools or in earlier stage. And then we can go out to schools and then use accountants to actually show them how to do it. And, like teach the teacher or train the trainer type situation. So I just thought that could be something that we could do together. We can collaborate with the entrepreneur stream, because in the entrepreneur stream, finance is one aspect that you really need to understand. Well, not that you really need to understand, but cash is king, right? So that's just an idea that I don't know who to talk to, but I just want to put it out there. We might actually be able to come and we're calling on CPAs around the country to actually go out to schools to help with the financial literacy, definitely, Amelia. So that is like when we were out there, we could be talking about entrepreneurship as well, because the two are quite linked. So that's my 2 cents worth. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sissy. We can jump on a call a bit later and flesh it out a little bit more and see if we can come up with a bit of a game plan. I just wanted to bring something to everyone's attention. I've noticed a really interesting thing that a few people have said. They've talked about this terminology of asks, and this is popping up more and more in our ecosystem. But I'm aware there's probably a lot of people on this call that aren't quite aware of this asking situation. So as Wayne alluded to at the beginning, the ecosystem's there to support everyone, and this whole concept of an ask is to try and take away that awkward needing to ask for something, needing to ask for help, because asking for help is how it happens. So formalizing that ask situation is great, and it's so nice to hear. I think I've heard it 4 or 5 times now, people mentioning these words, and that's something I definitely want to see, and for future events we'll try to implement is a bit of an asking session. So if someone has a specific ask, say you're trying to get hold of a certain person in a certain company or a position in a certain company, you have the ability to ask without being embarrassed, without having no confidence, because you're being invited to ask a question. So if you do have an ask, by the way, pop it in the chat. Maybe someone else that's on the call can help you out. Wayne, we're almost done. Did you have any extra comments you wanted to make, or does anyone have any other questions? Exactly, Jordan. The ask it's like a call to action. It's a who can do this for me to get an outcome. I think Wayne might have dropped off.
He's there. He was just on mute, I think.
Oh no, he is on mute.
It's that time of the day, right?
I was very confused. I couldn't find your little tile.
Who haven't we heard from yet? Because I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear what was something that stood out for you from the conversation we've had so far. So if you haven't had a chance to have a chat, now's your chance. Lachlan, Scott, Jordan, come on.
I'll quickly add, just for the educators in the room in particular, like I mentioned it in the chat, one of our local educators who runs an entrepreneurship program called the DeLorean Project on the Sunshine Coast, where I'm based. He participated in a startup weekend. For those that don't know who on the call, a startup weekend is a 54-hour weekend where you go from coming with a problem you want to solve or a business idea you want to build, and then over the weekend you turn that idea into a reality, and through mentoring and all different sessions over the weekend. That's how I started. Kat, who's on the call, ran the first startup weekend that I was involved in. But yeah, I would highly recommend anyone who wants to help young people, and particularly the educators, I would definitely recommend trying to find a local startup weekend that's running. They usually run annually in most cities. If you can't find one, let me know and I can help run one in your local area. But yeah, I just definitely that's one of the greatest and the smallest thing you can do, like a weekend, to kind of change your whole perspective. Yeah, that's just my little spiel.
Jordan, thanks so much for offering to help other people run it in their local area. That is really, really genuine and awesome of you. So if you need a hand or you'd like to learn more about a startup weekend, please reach out to Jordan. He's part of an amazing group of people doing Silicon Coast up on the sunny coast. And it's great to see people offering to help each other. Thank you, Jordan. Who else haven't we heard from? There's a whole second page of people here that haven't spoken yet. Come on.
Hi, Wayne. I thought I would just say hi. I'm Carolyn. I'm a teacher with Brisbane School of Distance Education. So we're probably the largest school in Queensland, and we have students all over, everywhere, the world, and like rural, remote, pretty much we've got inclusion and diversity covered. We have a lot of students who have ideas. overseas students, a lot of students in rural remote, and I think the most important thing is to connect them. Not also, and also I think we need to think about global connections as well. That's something we haven't talked about. We'd love to see how we could link into other schools, other places. Like I know my son's right now, he's a UQ student, but he's now in Denmark, and they're doing some great things. It would be really great to see how we could also, you know, link this in, but also, you know, definitely I think the biggest thing that I've taken away from today is just, wow, there's so many different ideas, so many different things that I didn't even know about. And it would be really great for us all to come together, but it'd be great to start some, you know, initiatives as well. I'd really love, like, I just went on an EQ STEM camp this year, which was just amazing. It'd be really great to have like an EQ startup camp or something like that to get these students together to actually, you know, really start to build this. And yeah, we need it in the curriculum, but, you know, I just think that's still going to take some time. Now at our school, we're trying just to do it within extracurricular. That's kind of like the push, but I do see there is potential, but we need to sort of really have a plan. You know, it's not just the curriculum that needs to change, it's the training. Like I don't see a lot of teachers that I work with that have got the capability. They don't really know. So I think if we don't build our teachers up to actually, you know, also feel confident in this area, then I don't think we're going to build the youth up as well. So I really think we need to sort of, you know, start with that as well. But I must admit, it would be great storytelling to find out what some of the young entrepreneurs are out doing, you know, great things. But I, you know, just think there's so much potential here, and it's been so, like, I'm so glad that I've come this afternoon. It's made me feel really great to see that this is actually happening. So yeah.
Caroline, thanks so much for sharing. It's awesome. If I take a leaf out of being, like, as a founder, right, and having founded a couple of companies, one of the lessons that I've learned on my journey is that the reality is you have to start small, and you want to work out how to phase things and what's the first immediate step you can take. And so for all of you out there, don't let perfect get in the way of starting, right? Because use what you got right now. If you've got people online right now, think about how can we jump online and do something with your people online, right? Because if that's an ask, we can help with that, right? You know, the next thing to do, we can like step from there to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And maybe maybe next time you get people together, we can come and help with that. And then maybe the time after that, we can do one that's specifically around entrepreneurship. So whatever works, I'm big on just start, right? And start with the lowest friction way of starting, and definitely ask for help because we'd love to help.
I also think as well, like, it'd be awesome. Hi guys, Scott here. Interesting, like, as far as like future events as well. I totally agree with what you said, Caroline, and also what you said, Barb, like around how so many of us have been so focused on like getting things up and off the ground. We're only sort of getting to the point now where it's like, oh, we're like actually getting out there and seeing who else is doing what and learning from each other. I even wonder, like, as a potential future event or a future forum, like meeting up and discussing, I guess, particular challenges or like friction points around entrepreneurship education would be really interesting. Like, I think we all are sort of, as you mentioned, Caroline, a lot of people have mentioned, approaching it from such different ways and working with such different groups of such different young people in such different parts of the state. It'd be really interesting if there was like a forum where one afternoon we jumped on for an hour and said, all right, like, what do we do? We've got a lot of young people across the state that are sort of getting to that point where they've gone through those school business programs, they've pitched an idea but want to take the next step. What do we do in that scenario? Like, how do we do it? How do we support them? And then like riffing about that and just like sharing our approaches to it, or looking at when you do like whole cohort sort of programs and you've got those kids that are really into it and some of those kids that maybe aren't so into it, how do you approach that? So, have I offered to do something else as well?
You're going to have a full schedule at the end of this one.
Oh, perfect. Heather, OQC team, I'm just coming. I'm going to bring my laptop. I'm taking up residence in the OQC office from now on.
Sure, come work with us at the precinct, Scott. We'll be happy to have you.
Get me a shirt and I'll just be part of the team now.
Done. And we extend that invitation to anyone else as well.
But yeah, I thought that could be just something interesting for future calls. Like, I'd love to hear from like everyone on the call how they're approaching, like, because I know for us, like, we definitely have like friction points where you find, and I think those friction points continue to change as the sort of ecosystem develops and as young people develop their capabilities. But I think that could be really cool knowledge sharing. Yeah, just to see how people are approaching different challenges.
Interesting idea. I'll see what I can set up. It's definitely an interesting concept. No, seriously. You know, it makes me think about, so I used to work in the electric vehicles area, and we always laughed about how all the companies working to promote electric vehicles are kind of working together against petrol vehicles, right? And I kind of see that the similar to, you know, getting entrepreneurship into schools and that innovative thinking is a collaborative exercise from everybody. That everyone's got the same end goal, right? That's on this call, and that's why you're on this call. So definitely something we can think about.
Hi, this is Andy speaking from the AAC group. I'm just driving, so my camera is off, but I'm so it's able to talk. I just want also to mention about entrepreneurship, the self-employment assistance, which was previously known as NEAS. There's a great platform funded by the Australian government for anyone to be as young as 15 plus, to all ages essentially, to actually start your own business and being supported by the government. Yeah,
and
sorry,
do you want me to take over?
Yes, please.
I can explain that program.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, everyone. And he's actually my husband, and he's got our 1-year-old daughter in the car driving back from daycare. I'll pop his email in the chat, but what he's saying is they got a government grant to provide services, and don't quote me on any of this, but essentially the government's paying for mentoring services, but also helping out with actual weekly payments to pay you to start your own business. And there's a whole lot of other little bits and bobs that go along with that. So it's a really interesting one for anyone who can would like to access it, and removes a lot of those barriers that are constantly spoken about. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't know the program's actually available. And that should not be a problem that they're encountering. So, sorry, Andy, I hope I summed that up somewhat correctly.
Yeah, no, that's correct. And it's offered also all around Australia and therefore Queensland. So depending on your area you're living, it might be a different provider. But if you have any question, feel free to shoot me an email. Maybe if you can write the email down, my email down, Amelia will be awesome.
Yeah, perfect. I'll pop the details in the chat in 2 seconds. Thanks, Andy. Alrighty, we're almost wrapping up. Wayne, did you want to give a final wrap up or any final comments?
Guys, I really appreciate the energy that everyone has. When I look at the people in the room that are, yeah, you're all truly passionate about this topic, and I'm incredibly grateful because I've got kids, right? And we all want our kids to be more entrepreneurial. We need teachers who want that. We need parents who want that. We need role models who can demonstrate that. So thank you. Our job is to help you, and we're really keen to do that. And the sky's the limit on how we approach it. So, you know, if you've got crazy ideas, please circle back via Amelia, and yeah, we'll try and help if we can. Like, and yeah, even small things, right? Like local connections, local conversations. If you need people to jump on a conference call or a Zoom call, or meet with your, you know, come to your school and meet with teachers and students, right? Between us, we can do that, right? It doesn't have to just be my role. It can be any of us together, can be the voice of this kind of change, right? And so, thank you for being passionate. Thanks for being here. And Amelia, thanks for coordinating. Heather and the team, thank you for pulling this together. Our email address is in there, chief.entrepreneur@premiers.gov. whatever it is. It's in there.
.2ld.gov.au.
Excellent.
Good, Heather.
we're going to pull everything that you've said, we're going to pull together, right? And we'll try and package it up into logical bits. And then I'm sure Amelia is going to circulate that back around.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you see something on there that you think you want to champion, thanks, Scott, for everything you've already offered to do. But seriously, if you want to champion something, you don't need permission. Just take the lead and tell everyone, hey guys, I'm gonna work on this. Who wants to be involved? Because that's how we create a movement. So thank you.
Thanks everyone. I really appreciate all your time and your feedback, and I'll definitely circulate everything at the end, or when we collate it all, which will be a bit of a project.
Thank you guys so much for organizing this. It's been such a fun afternoon, and awesome to see, the Chief Entrepreneur, doing something education specific, which is fabulous. Thank you guys.
And make sure you guys come along to Something Fest, right? Because if you want to have a conversation and we're all at Something Fest, just grab us, right? Let's do some informal, non-planned, just like we're all there together. Let's just get together and hash something out.
And selfies, lots of selfies, of course.
Oh yeah, 100%. Alrighty.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Have a good one, everybody.